Hello, and I am here for a review of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 9, Episode 9, and it is Char-lotta Drama. I think some people would say that this is a filler episode. It was all right. Not much was going on, so let's just get to it. So Kenya and Cynthia meet at the little doggy grooming place, and Kenya is just filling her in about the issues that she's having with Matt ongoing, and that they are taking a break. He's supposed to be working on himself. She's supposed to be working on herself, and she also lets her know that she is going to be hosting the opening of the Club One venue that Peter has in Charlotte. So Cynthia was feeling some kind of way. I think she still thinks that she should have all the benefits of the wife without being a wife, and that even though she wants them to remain friends, she really has to let him go at his own speed. So, she's feeling a little awkward about it, but she is going to be Kenya's +1. She's going to have a drop-in at the venue because Peter did not invite her. Candy will not be at the opening because she is going to be doing her candy-coated convention on her her adult toy products, and she's meeting with her consultants. She's working the business because the restaurant is not open yet, and she needs one business to continue to funnel money into this business that isn't bringing her money in yet. Johnny was an assistant of hers, and evidently he sent out a shady post about her being fake, and later on she addresses it. She is on a rampage. What else is there to say? Candy is having a who's gonna check me boo moment. She's having a charade moment, like who's gonna check me boo, and she is ready to take anybody in her path that is going to try to cross her. She's just taking them out. Phaedra, it was in her path, and now Johnny is in her path this episode. It later on comes out that let's just get them out of the way, but Candy fired him as an assistant, but she still uses him because he has a side business of which he was part of her coordination of her wedding, and she has given him other jobs on his side business, and she felt that everything was okay. She approached him at the convention because that's one of the gigs that he is doing, getting the convention together, and she confronts him about the shady post. He later says that he felt that he was fired by the wrong person, that he felt that they were building something, and she's like, I don't have to talk to you if I don't want to. Don Juan is my person, and if he fired you, he fired you, and he is feeling some kind of way. Fast forward, he goes to Phaedra and finds out what his legal rights are for compensation. He got fired from Candy a few months ago as the assistant, and based on the information he gave Phaedra, she referred him to an attorney who is more suitable in those types of legal actions, which was really good for Phaedra. And Phaedra was right. Phaedra don't need to deal with Candy. She don't need to deal with the old lady gang. She don't need to deal with the relatives, the mama, the pappy, folks from the grave, people in the streets, people everywhere. So Phaedra is staying clear from that. And probably that's the best legal advice she's even given herself, to stay away from that. Sheree talks about writing this tell-all book that is fictional inspired. And she meets with Sweaty Bob. And Sweaty Bob, okay, so those of you who have been on my channel for a bit knows that my husband really hates The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and he will begrudgingly sit through it if he has to. And he even commented, why is he sweating? I mean, they were at an obstacle course, and Bob was just like, it was sauna sweat. It wasn't like gym sweat. It was sauna sweat. I really hope he answers what's going on. And I hope that since this was taped a long time ago, that Bob has dropped some weight, or, I hope he's not on those ephedrine pills that speed up your heart rate and make you sweat, because that sweat was just unbelievable. Sheree wasn't sweating like that. The gym guy wasn't sweating like that. Bob was like sauna sweating. Now I know what it's like to profusely sweat, but this was crazy. Anyway, so Sheree talks about this book. She gets the cover from her editor. She's really, really excited about it. And it's so funny because Bob punks her out talking about her being the queen of the startup and no finish. So you know, he's proud of her doing the book, but he would like to see something that she does come to fruition, because as Bravo likes to roll out the receipts, she has not ever finished anything she has started, and she has started a lot of stuff. So I started from the back. Let me go forward, and then we'll talk about the big thing that ended, which was Kenya and Matt. So Portia is moved out of her house, and she's moved back in her mama's house, and she brings Todd in. She sneaks him in like she's, you know, 17, and she tells him that she's been working on her sugar walls with the Yanni egg, and it was goofy. Did anybody hear Todd call her buddy? What's up with these transferred scripts of Bravo? He called her buddy. Ooh, I about fell out. My husband didn't know what I was why I was laughing, but I was falling out. I love you, buddy. Into that. Okay. So we're gonna do the part at the end, because really there wasn't that much. So Cynthia and Kenya are in Charlotte. Cynthia is gonna be her +1, and she's gonna pop up unannounced. Meanwhile, Kenya has an hour. So Matt has driven 3.5 hours and 200 miles from Atlanta to Charlotte. He sends these possessive, angry texts, and Cynthia is concerned for her about showing up, because what ended up happening is, you know, months ago we had seen these posts that Matt had done. So now we have the backdrop story of these posts that he was putting online about Kenya canceling his plane ticket. Well, what actually happened was that Peter invited Matt to come to the opening so he could hang out with the guys. He asked Kenya if it was okay. Kenya okayed it, but then she later had regrets about it and thought that, you know, I don't think it's a good thing, because anytime we get together, it's not a good thing. She's doing a paid gig of being the host for Peter, and she did not want her issues with Matt to override and overshadow the opening. She didn't want to start a scene, which is very mature and very smart. So Peter canceled the plane ticket. Then he sent the angry post about the canceled flight. Kenya did not purchase the ticket. It was Peter. But because Kenya didn't want him there, Peter obliged and respected her wishes and canceled the flight. So he decided to drive, which of course that's Bravo movie magic, because first she only had an hour to get ready, and somehow or another he, you know, drove up there like a crazy man and got there in time that she got there. So Cynthia talks to Peter and say, listen, Matt is not in a good place. Please don't let him there. I'm really concerned. It doesn't look good, and he might be a little erratic, and I want you to have a great opening night. So Matt shows up. Kenya tells her driver, because she stays in the car, Kenya tells her driver not to let him in. Evidently, he went to roll up the window, and Matt slapped him in the face. Now, we heard it, but we didn't see it. So I was like, maybe it didn't really happen. Maybe it's just a little, you know, sound effect, because the slap sounded really hard, and didn't know if that was kind of editing magic. But he admits when he took off, which was stupid, he took off after he slapped the driver. The driver said he slapped him. He gets a call from Peter. Peter's like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, well, I went to go talk to Kenya, and the driver, because that's what Kenya asked him, you know, don't let him in. So he rolled up the window, and of course, Matt probably didn't want to get his big old fat face out of the window, so it got rolled up on, and he slapped him. Whatever. It's assault. I mean, the driver has cause for assault. So that was stupid, Matt. Again, very impulsive and not forward thinking, not smart at all. So Peter's like, man, this is not right. This is not good for you. It's not good for her. You just, you know, Peter and Todd, everybody's telling Kenya, you need to just make a clean cut. Just make a clean cut, because he's not right for you. You two are toxic together, and it's just not cool. And it's just not cool. So she's sad about that. And you know, Cynthia and Peter had a pretty good time. You know, they you know, they were laughing. They were you know, he was checking her out. You know, he was like, she was looking like a tall glass of milkshake. You know, from that, what was it? My chick's bad, my chick good, all white dress, looking like milk. You know, that whole thing. He was just looking up and down, and you know, and she was saying how he's looking extra good, and I was like, okay, Peter, all right, Cynthia, we're gonna have a, you know, sex with your ex. And you know, Peter was chuckling, saying, you know, you still Mrs. Thomas. And then he was like, why are you still afraid of that? You know, like, oh my God, it still isn't over. You know, they were having little cute moments. It got awkward at the end, because you know, he's like, you know, I'm only like, you know, a little bit away, just, you know, like you know, three minutes away. But you know, he said he's going to get in his car, and she's like, nah, that's awkward. But we didn't see her turn away and walk. Let's see if she went in the car with him. I would like to know. Inquiring minds would like to know. She would not be the first couple who are going through the middle of a divorce having sex. It wouldn't be the first, and it's not going to be the last. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Not much. If there's anything vital that I forgot, let me just check. But if there's anything vital that I forgot, leave it in the comments. There wasn't too much hype. Yeah, I guess it would be considered a filler episode. Yeah, I think I covered everything. So that's all I have for now. Take care of yourself and each other. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to bed, and I will see you tomorrow for Jumpstart January. Bye.